for a year. And this is how we celebrate the good that has come to our land. It is the government of Ghana's performance tracker, an improvement on the delivery tracker, which is aimed at ensuring transparency and accountability and the execution of infrastructure projects across the country. Today we welcome all our audiences online and on television and on radio, on GTV, Adum TV, Wuntumi TV, City TV, Joy News, Metro TV, Adum TV, Oripa TV, ABC News, Movement TV, Angel TV, Kesben TV, and Asase Radio. It is now time for us to officially launch the tracker. Who to do it for us than the Minister of State representing the government of Ghana, the Honorable Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, MP.
Traditional rulers who are here with us this morning, the Honorable Ministers of State who are here with us this morning, including Ministers of State Designate, Members of Parliament, Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Municipal and District Chief Executives, Directors of the Civil Service, and the Head of Civil Service. Good morning to you all. I want to start by asking us all to give a big round of applause to the entire team that has worked to get this together. First, I want to acknowledge the Ministers of State who spent hours working with the tracker team to input data from their ministries and account for the work that has been done so far, and who went so far as signing off that you can vouch for the data that you are putting in. Let's give them a big round of applause. The Metropolitan, Municipal, and District Chief Executives across the 261 districts who've also been going around your districts, validating the data sets for us and taking the necessary inventory to key into the system. I want to thank the Information Services Department staff across the 261 districts who've been taking the photos and geotagging the projects across the country that have been uploaded on this platform. And you know I'm biased when it comes to ISD, so please let me give them some small funds. The regional and district coordinating directors, the chief directors, and directors of the RSIM directorates at the ministries, the head of civil service himself. I want to thank you, yourself and your team, who have been very supportive of this project. And if the cameras can pan to the back, there's a team of young men and women. They like to hide. They are the team who work at night. Please rise, please rise, please rise, please rise. And quite a number of them are ladies as well. Let's give them a big round of applause. They are the people who work in the middle of the night updating the data. Please take your seats for the delivery tracker. As has been mentioned, this is a collective exercise that is taking quite a number of months to put together. There's a question that has been on the minds of many people, and it's a very legitimate question. You hear people in academia asking it, you hear journalists asking it, you hear everyday Ghanaians asking it. What does my government do with my money? Abaino, misikano, edenomdiye. People ask the question, what does government do for me? There are those who say that when you tune on your radio or switch on your television or go on social media, all you seem to consume is negative news. But is that all there is? Or is there something more that people should be shown? These are questions that have been raised and continue to be raised. In the year 2020, the Vice President of the Republic, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, led in the answering of this question by setting up at the time what we called the performance, the delivery tracker at the time. And it was a platform that allowed us to account for all the projects, mostly the infrastructure projects that this administration had executed. And as many of you will recall, television stations and radio stations then went out into the countryside to try and validate whether or not indeed these infrastructure projects are on the ground. But the question remains from 2020 till now, what does my government do with my money? A lot of work has gone on, as Professor Piedu mentioned, and that work is what has led us to what we call today the performance tracker, or what some will call the tracker 2.0. The URL will read performancetracker.gov.gh. So what is the performance tracker? The performance tracker is, first of all, a database. It's a database that showcases the performance of the government of Ghana. And it showcases it through the various projects that have been executed across the 261 districts. And this database has two interfaces. One is a website. So you can go onto that website, www.performancetracker.gov.gh, and you can access that database, and shortly I'll take you through that database. The other is an app. Today, the mobile phone is a very powerful tool, sometimes even beyond what your desktop can do. And on the app, on the iOS system, as at now, I'm told the app version has been uploaded, and in the coming weeks, on the Android system, the app version will also be uploaded. So it's a database. You can access it through a URL, performancetracker.gov.gh, or you can download the app and access that database. And what it does is that it showcases the performance of the government of Ghana across the 261 districts, across the 28 ministries, and across the 16 regions. Now, it's an enhanced version of the 2020 tracker that the government put out. And the enhancement is in three features. First, it's more user-friendly than before. It's easier to navigate this particular database. Second, it's gone through a very rigorous validation exercise. And as was mentioned, down through to the district level, town by town, to geotag the projects and to take photos of the project so that you can see it. It's also got, for the first time, metrics, data that you can then analyze and do the necessary comparisons, and we'll take you through it shortly. It is a live platform, and so even as we go on from today, there will be a continuous exercise to update and to validate. The latest data set you will find on it is June 2023. That's the latest data set. There are some of the ministries, departments, and agencies who have data that is a bit earlier than June 2023. But of course, between June 2023 and even this morning, a lot of work is ongoing. And so there will be a continuous exercise to update the performance tracker. And as and when it's updated, which is a live exercise, we're hopeful that all of you who are following will keep an eye on it. As I mentioned, it's first accessible on the URL, and then secondly on the app. Now, you will find in the latest version with the data set cut off as at June 2023 that there are over 13,000 projects across the 261 districts, across the 16 regions, across the 28 ministries or so, that have been validated and updated on this platform. And I want to once again congratulate the team that has been doing this exercise across the country. Over 13,000 projects that have been updated here. And as I mentioned, as we go along, a lot more will be updated on this platform. As was mentioned earlier by the Honorable Minister for Information Designate, the performance tracker is an empowerment tool. It empowers all of us, all of society, so that together we can track our common progress. The general public is asking questions. Those questions are answered on this platform. Development partners want to know, when we give you, budget assistance or specific project financing, what do you use it for? The answers are here. The media is asking questions on a regular basis. The fourth estate of the realm, holding government accountable. What has government done with the resources of the state? The answers are here. Civil society organizations, sometimes across various sectors, are asking questions. The answers are here. And here, on an academic premises like this, you also do know that the academia is always asking questions. The answers are here. The performance tracker has an architecture of about 5 key parts. The information is organized in 5 key, may I say, buckets. And very quickly, I want to take you through it before we launch, and before I invite you to ask for some data yourself and find the data on the platform. Now, these are the 5 major buckets of information that you will find on the performance tracker. First, you'll find thematic areas. As I mentioned, in 2020, the tracker focused mostly on infrastructure projects. We've gone beyond that. And so in 2024, this tracker goes beyond infrastructure and features 22 thematic areas. So you'll find, for example, roads, where you'll find a lot of infrastructure. You find education, you will find health, you'll find security, you'll find the 22 major thematic areas that we often query information about when it comes to governance. But we haven't left it just at the thematic level. We've gone a step further. For these 22 thematic areas, there's been a further breakdown into categories. And you have 105 categories within which the information has been organized. So for example, when you take health, within the health categories, you will find something like health infrastructure. That's a category. You'll find health recruitment, doctors, nurses, and how that is affecting the doctor-patient ratio and whether we are doing better or worse as we go along as a country. You'll find Agenda 111. All of these you will find just under the category or just under the theme health as various categories. If you go into education, you'll find education infrastructure, you'll find free SHS, you'll find teacher recruitment, you'll find various categories. So first we organize according to thematic areas, and then we also organize according to categories, 105 categories. There are those who also want to find out how about this ministry, and that's a work that, as was mentioned earlier, from the head of civil service through the chief directors and the directors RCM we have done. How about this particular ministry? What sort of work has gone on in this ministry from about 2017 till now, or 2020 till now, or even beyond now as we continue to track our progress as a republic, ministry by ministry. And so you'll find that 28 ministries and then the Office of Government Machinery are accounted for. So you can query by ministry and find for yourself what exists there. And some want to see by region. I saw, I think, the Bono East Regional Minister smiling when, she saw the regions pop up, hoping that she will beat everybody else to what is available here. 16 regions have also been accounted for, and you see the projects listed according to region. And beyond that, the 261 MMDAs also have their projects accounted for here. So DC, you will be checking to see how many projects you have executed in your areas against other DCs. And if you have more projects, you please send it through the validation process, the very rigorous validation process, and when it is validated, it will be updated on the tracker. Very quickly, the thematic areas. So when you go to the thematic look, we just picked road and transport as an example. You will find that there's metrics on the data from roads and transport. You want to see how many kilometers of roads or specific projects, bridges, etc. You'll find metrics on it. You also find the categories. If you want to query by categories, you can find. If you want to see the photos that go along with it, you can find them. Where there are videos and audios, you will find them. Where there are infographics, you will find them. And then where there are articles by independent bodies, organizations that also validate the claims of the government of Ghana, you will find them there. This is just an example of some of the metrics that we pulled up from the roads and transport slide. For example, when you look for road construction works, and you are looking specifically for roads constructed and rehabilitated from 2017 till 2022, you will find that the metrics will tell you 11,974.96 kilometers of roads that have been constructed and rehabilitated in the Republic of Ghana since then. Now, the metrics will do something else for you. The metrics will then compare it to the baseline. So if the baseline, for example, is 2016 or 2008 or a particular year, it will run, the algorithm will run and tell you that the change is about 158% increase compared to the 2009-2016 accumulated window. And it will also tell you the source of this data, the Ministry of Roads and Highways. And on the live website, when we go there, you can now click and go into it and find the project yourself, which backs or validates the metrics as you are finding here. And again, once again, I want to celebrate the team of Ghanaian engineers who have done this algorithm that works for us. If you took, let's say, construction of interchanges, the data will tell you that 12 interchanges between the period 2017 and 2020. Those 12 interchanges, 6 of them are completed, 6 of them are still under construction. And it will compare to the baseline of 2016 and tell you that that is 140% increase in the provision of interchanges in the Republic of Ghana, comparing with that baseline. And again, it will give you a link to go there, click, and find those interchanges yourself so that you can validate the data for yourself. Another example, the road network size. The road network size in this country is now about 94,203 kilometers. That is a 20% increase compared to the 2009-2016 accumulated data, and the source is there. You can then click and go find the data. If you went to the category side, it will be grouped under airport, feeder roads, cocoa roads, interchanges, traffic management, railway, and you can click and go for the data therein. The second dimension I want to draw your attention to is the sectoral report. So if you go for the sectoral report, let's say you query for a particular ministry, Ministry of Education, you will see the earlier tabs I mentioned, but you see two additional tabs. You will see the executed projects and their details also there. And then you see the summary or the count of the project. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those are the ones that you also see. These are additional layers of information if you query by sector, ministry by ministry. And so, for example, when we say specific projects under education, if you went to the classroom blocks, depending on what you are querying, it will tell you about the 3-unit classroom block at Dompoase, and it will give you the geolocation in the Ashanti region, Adansi North District at Dompoase specific, so that those who want to validate can validate, and it will tell you the percentage completion as at the time this data was keyed in. And if there's an update of the data, for example, when we started the exercise, there was something that was about 45%. As at the June cutoff point, it has moved to, let's say, 67%. You will begin to see that, and then you can track for yourself and find out. I won't bore you with too many details because we'll go into the details later. And as I mentioned, the summary of the count of the data. So depending on the particular district, or if you want it by region, or if you want it on the global level, that's the national level, it will list for you the various data points, and the timestamp will tell you when this data was gathered. And as we continue to update, you will see the data points also update themselves. The third category I want to speak to is the regional and district report. I know many of you are excited about that one. It will also show you the tabs, but it will show you district level data. So you will see district level data beginning to pop up, and you can query your district and find out the kind of projects that are in your district. So for example, we took a screenshot of Western North region, and it will list the districts for you, and then you can go into a particular district and pick. Bia West, for example, you will find the rice processing factory, you will find a project to distribute computers, you'll find a 3-unit classroom block at Bia Senior High School. Each of these have been done by the assembly, also being updated on it. Now, what I encourage you to do is to, as you go through the tracker, pick some of the data sets or the metrics that you find very important. I selected 8, which I want to share with you. And don't ask me why 8. I just found 8 to be an interesting number, so I picked 8. Now, these are just a few metrics, 8 metrics that I picked from the platform just to highlight. As I mentioned earlier, when you're talking about the conversation on roads, you will find about 11,974.96 kilometers of roads constructed and rehabilitated from 2017 to 2020. That's a 158% increase over the 2009 and 2016 data set. Jobs created between 2017 and June 2023, when this data was put in, a little over 2 million, so 2,087,000. And to tell you the source of the data coming from SNIT, so SNIT is the one that is providing this data. So for every data set that is uploaded, the source will be made available. Government Agenda 111 project, and this is very interesting. Agenda 111 project, when you take the numbers and you add it to the previous health infrastructure that existed, by the time we are done, healthcare infrastructure would have gone up by 55.9%. That is the addition of half of the stock that existed already to Ghana's health infrastructure. And I think we can give ourselves as a country a big round of applause on this one. STEM education, 5 schools completed, 5 under construction. And depending on which dimension you are querying, you can then go in there and then find the details for yourself. Over 5.7 million children benefiting from free SHS and TVET education as at June 2023, when this data was put in. I know that data set has even improved between then and now, because June, then there was September intake, etc. But as at that time, 5.7 million children benefiting from free senior high school and TVET education. Rural telephony, a radical program that was rolled out. I see the Minister of Communications is here with us. 1,448 telephony sites that have been established between 2017 and 2023. And let me tell you what's interesting about this. Each of these sites in a community has a certain number of people around it. Let's use a minimum 100. 1,448 multiplied by 100, who can now have better connectivity for their commerce, for their personal communication, for whether it's healthcare, dealing with relatives to send help or whatever. That is the kind of impact that this 1,448 telephony sites is delivering. So when you see the number, it's not just a number, there's a story behind the number. There are lives that are being impacted behind that number of 1,448 rural telephony sites, multiplied by the number of people who live in those communities and how it is impacting their lives out there. Housing units. You know, now I'm biased towards housing. These days I only talk about housing. 3,286 housing units constructed and added to the housing stock in this country. I want to pay tribute to Minister Tachia, Minister Senso-Boakye for the great job that they have done. We've still got more that's ahead of us. Recently, I'm sure you've seen a lot of work that is being done. All of that will be updated to include that, because in the Greater Accra region alone, we are currently working on about 10,000 housing units. So this is just 3,000 as at the time the data was put up, and then the update of the data will be going on. 17.2 million persons now covered under the National Health Insurance Scheme. Again, this is data that I picked. So these are my big 8 data points. I encourage you to find your own 8, because 8 is an interesting number. In conclusion, we want to encourage you to visit the website and download the app. We want to encourage you to take time and navigate and be informed. We are responsible for the information we consume. Each one of us, we are responsible for the information we consume. If you choose that you spend, and I say this with the greatest of respect, you spend all your time on a particular social media platform consuming half-truths, false narratives, etc. You are responsible for that information you are consuming. The government of the Republic of Ghana is providing you a database where the facts about projects across the 261 districts are available. The least you can do is to navigate and be informed, so that when you get into that conversation with somebody, you can speak to facts that you yourself have verified on this particular app. And then we also want to encourage you to check for continuous updates, because this is a live platform. It will be updated literally on a daily basis. So please continue to check for those continuous updates. For platforms of this nature all over the world, you may find 1 or 2 little challenges here and there. Shortly, we will open up a feedback window so that you can give us that feedback. And then where corrections need to be made, those corrections can be made. We don't claim perfection, but the leader who is charged us to do this, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is clear that this should be done. We should use these digital platforms to account to the people and take feedback and make the necessary corrections. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the government of the Republic of Ghana, we want to declare the Tracker 2.0 duly launched.